There are one more type of strain is here, which will be called volumetric strain, which we have missed yesterday or previous class. Volumetric strain, this represents the change in volume by the original volume. That will be volumetric strain. So this will become delta V. Delta means the change V2 minus V1 by original volume V1, or simply V, delta V by V. Okay, so this was we have studied in our earlier class. Now we will advance. We have also discussed normal stress and shear stress. Normal stress was two types, tensile and compressive. This is the
Hello, sir.
yes.
Sir, please repeat once again about the torsional strain and torsional stress.
If can you able to look my pen here? This green color.
Yes, sir.
This is a cylindrical object. If we want to twist it, then the effect produced on this pen will be torsion. That will be called torsion. And because of that, some at the position where the force is working, because of a couple. Do you know what is a couple? Anyone? Do you know what is couple? When
two equal and opposite forces
right,
separated by distance.
when there is a surface, sorry, probably you are not looking at it. Probably whenever there is a surface, you are producing two equal and opposite direction forces. As a result, this object is trying to rotate. Sometimes it will rotate, sometimes it will not, but in case it rotates, that will be at some angle. So initially, if the position is here, after that the position is here, then the angle theta will be the torsional strain. Okay, so in torsion there will be details in elaboration on that topic, that will be on SSP search class. So we will not much discuss here. We will just have an idea. When we twist any material, that means one end fixed. This is the pen, one end fixed, other end we are trying to rotate it. Then the type of stress produced on it will be the torsional stress, and because of that, the angle it will move in a radian will be called a torsional strain. Okay. Now we will advance to the next topic. Today is 6th of April 2021. Now, in this class, we will discuss about elasticity and elastic limit. So, the name of the topic is
The 7th April.
Today is 7th April. Sorry. Thank you for keeping it into my notice. Today is 7th April. So, elasticity is a property of material. Property of material. Okay, not property of object, it is property of material. So different object having same material will have same property, same elasticity. Now, what is elasticity then? If there is any object, okay, there is any object, and we are trying to apply some force, or we are applying some force there, or load, any type of load, any type of force we are applying on it. So, because of that loading, the dimension of the object will deform. Okay, the shape or size will deform, and when this deformation is happened, because of the cohesive force of the particles inside that object will provide some resistance, and because of the resistance force, when we remove the load, then it comes back to its previous shape and size. The property by which the object can regain its original shape and size is called elasticity, and the material which are having, or the object which are having this elasticity property will be called elastic body. Okay, is the definition clear to you? This is the pen. If we try to apply some force here, we are applying some force, we see there will be some bending in here, in this body of the pen. When we remove that load, the pen again regains its original shape. Okay, when there is any object having cross section A and length L, we apply a tensile force P. Because of this P, we have learned that there will be some deformation. This is tensile force. Because of tensile force, the length will tend to increase. So suppose this dl amount length has been increased. So when we remove this load P, this elongation dl will vanish and it will come back to its original shape and size. Again, its length will change back to L. So after loading, it was L plus dl. When loading is removed, it again becomes L. This property by which the material or the object comes back to its previous shape and size upon removal of loading is called elasticity, and the material will be called elastic material. Okay, now
सर एक बार रिपीट कर दो
the
लास्ट डेफिनेशन
the object
Yes, sir.
which is having the property of elasticity will be called elastic material. Now, now upon a different number of experiments, scientist Hooke, H-O-O-K-E, scientist Hooke found out some phenomenon, and he said a statement which is called Hooke's law. Very, very important question. Hooke's law. Okay, Hooke's law states that when a material is loaded up to a certain limit, then the stress generated on it will be directly proportional to the strain. That limit will be called elastic limit. Okay, so Hooke said up to certain limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay, this limit is called elastic limit. Now you have to find the book and you have to write the statement. You cannot change a statement. Whatever written there, you have to write it here. So, so mathematically, it becomes stress normally given by sigma directly proportional to strain up to certain limit. That is called elastic limit. So if we increase the load more than elastic limit, more than this limit, then the object tries to comes back to its previous shape and size, but there are some permanent deformation. There is some permanent residual deformation. So if we increase the P in this image, if we increase the P over this certain limit, then this dl, which is the strain, which is the elongation, that cannot again comes back to 0. So again the length does not comes back to L. So there will be very small portion, say after loading it has become L plus dl when the load is above elastic limit. So it does not goes back to L. It goes back a little amount and it goes to L plus delta L. So this dl is bigger than delta L. dl is bigger than delta L. So it actually, in this case, upon removal of load, it comes back to L plus delta L. It does not again comes back to L when this loading is above this certain limit. Okay, so we will discuss it with a diagram. This is the stress along this strain. Now, if we continue to increase the stress, initially the curve will be on straight line. Now, after that, thus this curve will be different for ductile material and different for brittle material. So let us start with ductile material. In ductile material, what is ductile? Do you know what is ductile material? Anyone knows what is ductile material?
Sir, a material which can be drawn into wires.
Right, absolutely right. It can be drawn into wires. So, we are applying some force, just like this condition. We are applying longitudinal force, normal force, tensile force, and say in ductile material, we will find the curve will look like this. Okay. Now we will discuss what happens here. Up to certain region, this curve is found on experiment. Okay. So you have practical experiment too on this thing. When you get into the laboratory in our college, when the college opens, you have to do this lab. You will have to find out this curve. However, for ductile material, the initial portion is straight line, and up to that point, the curve straight line is called proportional limit. This level of stress is called, I am just writing out A here so that you can be able to understand, where A means proportional limit. Okay, so when this limit crosses out, the stress crosses this limit, then the curve is not straight line. That means above crossing this proportional limit, the stress will not be proportional to, directly proportional to strain. Okay, upon experiment we have found out above proportional limit, stress is not proportional to strain. But upon removal of load up to this certain limit, which we call B. So up to B, up to point B, up to the stress level B, if we remove the load, if we remove the stress, again the object will go back to zero strain. That means it will again go back to its previous shape and size, its original shape and size. Okay, but if we load this object above B, then we cannot go back to the original shape and size. There will be permanent deformation. Okay, now this will be little like this. Okay, little higher. Okay, so when we get B, after crossing B, we will find there is a, in this region, there is a point which will be called C. Here B is elastic limit and C is yield point. What is the yield point? When we look at here, we could have studied a little also. Okay. So, so what happens after crossing yield point? Strain hardening occurs. Okay. After crossing the yield point, strain hardening occurs. I am giving a simple example. If you take wire in your hand and if you make that aluminium wire or copper wire to bend several times, you take these wires and you bend it several times, aluminium or copper. Okay, then what happens? You will find it becomes harder to bend. It becomes little strong. Have you ever felt it? So in strain hardening, the object becomes much more stronger. So because of the strain hardening, the object can be able to withstand more stress up to this point, which is called D, and D will be called ultimate stress. This is called ultimate stress. So whenever you cross this limit of ultimate stress, then what happens? Automatically, you see this curve have some negative slope. This curve becomes with negative slope. Negative slope means automatically the deformation will go on. Whenever you just touch this point B, you are raising the stress and you are touching the point D or ultimate stress, automatically, even without application of stress, strain will occur, and at this region, E, failure starts, and at F, it completely gets destroyed. Okay, so this E can be called breaking point or failure point.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Whenever you cross this D,
Hello,
the
sir.
object will fail. Yes, please continue. What you are
Sir,
saying?
can you please explain the C and D part, the yield point and ultimate stress?
At C point, that is called yield point. In this yield point, strain hardening occurs. Strain hardening means the object gains some sudden strength, just like it happens when you take an aluminium or copper wire or a brass wire in your hand and you bend it several times. You hold that wire this way and you just bend it several times. You will find after 3-4 bends, it becomes difficult to bend. The object gets hardened and then suddenly it just breaks into 2 pieces. So here also, after this point C, the same thing occurs. Work hardening occurs. At work hardening occurs means the strength, the hardness suddenly get increased. The object can take little more load. But whenever the loading crosses the point D, the ultimate stress point, failure starts automatically. Then automatically the strain continues. Even if you withdraw, you are raising the stress up to D, then withdraw the stress after ultimate stress, then automatically it will reach to E and go to F. It is very common. Sometimes it does not have to reach F. Sometimes at this E point, this breaking point, the failure occurs. At E point, actually the necking occurs. Necking means whenever you do this test, you have to use a dog bone type shape material. For testing purpose, we use the specimen in this particular shape, which is called dog bone shape. Okay. Now, if we apply tensile stress in both the ends in this region, initially, first, a necking will start. So whenever we cross this point D, automatically the object gets elongated, and at this point, E point, breaking point, necking starts, and at F point, these two portions breaks. This portion is elongated here, and after continuing, this automatically breaks. Okay, so is the concept clear? During this,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
during this, if this is O point, O to A, this is stress proportional to strain, and this is called the proportionality limit up to A. Up to B, from A to B, stress is not directly proportional to strain, but upon removal of stress, the object goes back to previous original shape and size. When the stress level crossing B, then there will be some permanent deformation, but there will be some certain restoration. Restoration will be there, but not fully restoration. There will be some permanent deformation while the stress level between B to C. When it crosses C, the yield point, strain hardening occurs, and the object gains more strength and can withstand more load. But if this load or this stress raised more than D, the ultimate stress point, then the object starts failing. At point E, this necking occurs in case of ductile materials, and at F, finally, this breaks. So this is F point, this is E point. Okay, now if we draw a perpendicular from B, this right hand side will be called a plastic region. Plasticity is a property of material which says whenever we apply some load, if there is any permanent deformation, then we call the property as plasticity, and the material will be called plastic. So before elastic limit, everything, most of the materials are elastic, and after crossing the elastic limit, this will be called plastic. So this is plastic region, and this region is called elastic region. And the area obtained by this curve, that means this region, this is actually showing us the strain energy absorbed. Strain energy absorbed to break the material. That will be this area under the curve, area constrained by the curve, stress strain curve, is called strain energy absorbed. Okay, this strain energy, how this strain energy comes in? We are applying some force, we are wasting some effort. That effort is having some work being done. That work done is stored as strain energy inside the object. When the material breaks, then it cannot absorb more energy. That's why the curve, the area is constrained by the perpendicular here. Okay, now this is for ductile material. In case of brittle material, this is for brittle material. Do you know what is brittle material?
When load is applied, it breaks.
When the load is applied, it cannot withstand deformation and it suddenly breaks. It cannot withstand deformation. So we are loading it up to certain region. It will be elastic and stress will be proportional to strain. This will happen up to elastic limit. Then this is initially it will be proportionality limit, then there will be elastic limit, then there will be yield point. When we are crossing A, it becomes little like this. So A is elastic limit, A is proportionality limit, B is elastic limit, C is yield point, and this point is called D, or ultimate stress point. So in this case, in brittle material, it cannot withstand much deformation. That's why the curve stops just here. Okay, it does not continue like this one. It cannot continue like ductile material, because ductile material takes more energy. Brittle material suddenly breaks. That's why the area under the curve is very less here. So that's why this brittle material absorbs very less energy before breaking. Okay, now in case of this ductile material, we can use the material up to this yield point. Okay, we can load the material up to yield point, not beyond that. That will be very, very risky. We load it up to this point C, or yield point. In case of brittle material, we go up to yield point, but we choose yield point as a line parallel to the stress strain line. Okay, we draw a line parallel to stress strain line, but which point? At 0.2% strain. So when we get 0.2% strain, we draw a parallel line of this line. Okay, and wherever it touches, that point will be the yield point of that brittle material, and that is the useful value of the brittle material. Beyond this yield point, we will never load the material. That will cause a risk of breaking or failing while the operation is going on. Okay, that will be accidental risk. So that's why we cannot load beyond yield point. Now, while we are talking about this accidental safety, in industry, we use a term called factor of safety. Okay, so what is factor of safety? Suppose there is a rope, that rope can take or withstand say 200 Newton load, 20 kg or say 200 Newton load. Okay, this rope can withstand 200 Newton. If it becomes 200.1, it will fail. Okay, so ultimate point is 200 Newton. Now, in this case, we will not use that rope over 4 kg or say 5 kg. Will not be used for load more than 5 kg. Okay, 5 kg means on an average, say 5 into 10, 50 Newton. Okay, so the rope can withstand 200 Newton, but we are using it only for 50 Newton. So in this case, factor of safety will be equal to the
Sir,
ultimate
will not be, sir, ki lekha hai, sir, will not be.
will not be used for load more than 50 Newton. Okay, so then factor of safety will be ultimate stress or the ultimate capacity or the maximum capacity by permissible stress or permissible load. Okay, so this ultimate stress is how much the load will use, 200 Newton. As because we have used load here, then we should not use stress, we use maximum capacity, ultimate capacity and permissible capacity. Okay, so I have just written, because the stress is calculated or load is calculated, the ratio will be same. So the factor of safety will be 200 by 50, which is equal to 4. Okay, so we are using factor of safety 4. That means we are using it 1/4 time of its maximum capacity. That is called factor of safety. Is the concept clear to you?
Hello, sir. So why it is written that will it not withstand the load more than 15 Newton?
Because suppose we are raising it, say we are using 100 Newton, looking at that another level will come in, you will say, अरे भाई ये तो 200 न्यूटन लेता है, तू 100 क्यों दे रहा है, उसको 150 दे दे, वो ले लेगा. ठीक है, तो क्या होता है, वो लेबर 150 न्यूटन लोडिंग कर देता है, फिर भी चल जाएगा, लेकिन फिर भी और कोई आएगा और बोलेगा अरे 200 न्यूटन तो ले ही लेता है, तो 200 न्यूटन चला दे, तो 200 न्यूटन लगा देगा. फिर क्या होता है, ऐसे ऐसे करके we get the chance of accidents. And in engineering, as an engineer, you will never take risk of accident. So you will never load any material at its 100% capacity. You always run any machine or any component or any engineering analysis never at 100% capacity. You will always have some factor of safety. So that's why we use up to 50 Newton for maximum value. In industries, at least factor of safety, at least 4 is always taken. When they make bridges, over bridges, flyovers, they take factor of safety about 20. Because whenever the road is free, whenever the flyover is free, at any instant in that flyover, suppose there will be 20 cars. But if there is jam, then in that flyover there will be 100 cars. So that the number of loading will become very high depending on that time and situation. So under such condition, we always make the component or make the machine far more strong. The same thing we do in lift, we fix a maximum limit, maximum 4%, maximum 6%, maximum 8%. Why we do that? Because whenever we say there maximum 8%, you will find at least 10 students are already inside it and still another 2 is waiting to come in. So that is very dangerous. So that's why the lift is made is about taking 20%, and then they give that ultimatum maximum 8%, because the designer always know that in a college the students will not look at the limit, they will not go by 8%. If there is 8%, they will come in at least 10 as a group. This happens. Can you relate? This happens. So that's why the reason to introduce factor of safety has been started, the practice has been started. So is the concept clear? What is factor of safety?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So whenever you face problem, you stop me and ask questions. Sir, please repeat this portion. Okay. And I will try to elaborate the topic. Now, in here, we said that stress is proportional to strain. Now, the stress can be written as P by A, force by area, and this proportionality sign can be replaced by an equal to sign by placing a proportionality constant E, and the strain can be written as delta L by L. Now this E is called proportionality constant. Okay, this proportionality constant is again by name of scientist Young, we call it Young's modulus. Or we also call it elastic modulus. This is a property of material, and for different materials we use we find different value of this elastic modulus. Okay, so we get P by A equal to E into delta L by L. So from here we can write delta L is equal to PL by AE. So this is the formula. This is the formula through which we can find out the elongation of an object having length L, area E, and elastic modulus, area A, elastic modulus, capital E, and under load of tensile or compressive load of P. Okay, so is it clear? I have made the page, little congested, but I hope you will be able to understand. Any questions till now?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now we have discussed this formula for only normal load. If the load is shear load, then the stress is shown by tau. This is called tau. This is called tau. Probably you all know this term, right? Now, just like normal stress, this tau is directly proportional to shear strain, which we indicated phi in our previous class. So we can replace this proportionality constant by using another proportionality constant. That proportionality constant in case of shear stress can be written as C or G or N. Okay, so mostly this C or G is used both in different books. You will find different notations, so you just write as G into phi. Okay, so G is called shear modulus or modulus of rigidity.
Sir, what is phi?
What is?
Sir,
What,
phi.
what
Sir,
is
tau proportional to sir. Sir, what is sir? Tau proportional
tau
to
proportional to phi. Shear stress proportional to shear strain up to elastic limit. Okay, so this is shear stress tau, this is shear strain phi. So we have introduced this proportionality constant G. G is called shear modulus or modulus of rigidity. If you can remember, in our last class, here in this region we have discussed what is phi. This is shear stress, this is shear strain phi. If you look at previous day's class, you'll be able to understand, and the shear stress is denoted by tau. Okay, so I have the recording of previous day's class. If you want, I can upload it, and I'll send you a link to see if you want to see. So I'll record every day's class for record keeping purpose, but if you want, I'll upload them and I can share the link.
Yes, sir.
Do you want it?
यस सर
पेजेस
Yes,
के
sir.
वो फोटोज दे दीजिएगा ना, पीडीएफ
सर दोनों कर दीजिएगा
जितना
सर
पेजेस कर रहे हैं वो दे दीजिए।
PDF भी चाहिए और रिकॉर्डिंग भी चाहिए, मतलब ये जो मैं जिस पेज में कर रहा हूँ इसका इसका रिकॉर्डिंग चाहिए, मतलब इसका PDF चाहिए।
पीडीएफ चाहिए सर।
ओके, और रिकॉर्डिंग भी चाहिए।
Sir, recording will be the best.
Okay, I will provide both. There is no issue.
यस सर।
It will take it will take some time. Okay, by today I hope I will be able to provide you the link in your Google Classroom. I have already provided some materials. Actually, I have taken photograph from a book. What I have here, and I have sent it to your Google Classroom. You will find it there, and I will also send you the PDF and recordings too. So today the time is almost up, and I will not